Good evening and welcome to the Strand, the 84-year-old home of 18 miles of books. We're really happy you're here tonight. I'm Christina Foxley, Director of Events, and I'm pleased to welcome the legendary Lou Reed here tonight to discuss The Raven. Based on his acclaimed 2003 hit album, The Raven, award-winning songwriter Lou Reed immerses himself in the world of one of his spiritual forefathers, Edgar Allan Poe. In the book version of The Raven, Mr. Reed has produced a cycle of songs, verses, and narratives in which Reed's poetically streetwise sensibility merges with Poe's dark chronicles of terror and despair. Mr. Reed's lyrics, coupled with the vivid, abstracted, and enigmatic paintings of Italian cartoonist and New Yorker artist Lorenzo Mattotti, bring the darker elements of great literature to rock and roll. Grammy Award-winning artist Lou Reed is an American rock musician, songwriter, photographer, and filmmaker. He is best known as guitarist, vocalist, and principal songwriter of the Velvet Underground, and for his successful solo career, which spans 5 decades and crosses multiple genres. By the late 1980s, however, he had gained recognition by the music community as an elder statesman of rock, and in 1995 was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Following his presentation, Mr. Reed will answer some of your questions, which some of you wrote down, thank you, and then he will sign books for you all. I will be calling you up by row, so please remain seated and be patient. He is going to stick around to meet every single one of you, I promise. Please join me once again in welcoming Lou Reed to the Strand.
So this is fun, being at the Strand with my rewrite of Edgar Allan Poe, which was really great fun. Too bad you didn't see the play. Look at that. That's Lorenzo Mattotti. I mean, it's amazing. All in one book. But this was an idea of Robert Wilson, director, choreographer, lighting, and he said we should do Edgar Allan Poe and you should rewrite Poe. So, what a great idea. What fun. A lot of work with the dictionary because of very amazing use of language, a lot of arcane words. So how to look things up to make it contemporary, easy to read. Or easier. Anyway, we made an album out of it that no one knows about. Another one of my money-making projects. I know, we'll rewrite Edgar Allan Poe and make a fortune. So this is how it started out. These are the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Can you hear me? In the back? Yes?
You said yes.
Thank you. These are the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. Not exactly the boy next door. He'll tell you tales of horror. Then he'll play with your mind. If you haven't heard of him, you must be deaf or blind. These are the stories of Edgar Allan Poe, not exactly the boy next door. He'll tell you about Usher, whose house burned in his mind. His love for his dear sister, her death would drive him wild. The murder of a stranger, the murder of a friend, the callings from the pits of hell that never seem to end. These are the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. The diabolic image of the city and the sea, the chaos and the carnage that reside deep within me, decapitations, poisonings, though hellish, not a bore. You won't need 3D glasses to pass beyond this door. No Nosferatu, Vincent Price, or naked women here. A mind unfurled, a mind unbent is all that we have here. Truth, fried orangutans flooded to the stage, so leave your expectations home. and listen to the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. We give you the soliloquy, the raven at the door, the flaming pits, the moving walls, no equilibrium, no ballast, but no bombast. The unvarnished truth we've got, a mind that swoops guilty at night, cooking ravings in a pot. That's a pretty bad pun. Oh well. A telltale heart, a rotting cask, a valley of unrest, a conqueror worm, devouring souls, but keep the best for last. The bells that ring for Annie Lee as Poe's buried alive, regretting his beloved's death. In all her many guises, these are the stories of Edgar Allan Poe. So, now we get to an actual story. And this playing Lenore was the magnificent Elizabeth Ashley. This was an astonishing thing to be able to do. Who did this? Wow. Far away. Are not all lovely things far away? As far, at least, lies that valley as the bedridden sun in the luminous east, the paralyzed mountains, the sickly river. Are not all things lovely far away? Are not all things lovely far away? It is a valley where time is not interrupted, where its history shall not be interrupted. Stories of Satan's wings, of Satan's dart, of angel wings, and happy things within the valley of unrest. The sun ray dripped all red. The dell was silent. All the people having gone to war, leaving no interrogator to mind the willful looting, the pale past knowledge, the sly, mysterious stars. The unguarded flowers leaning, the tulips overhead, paler, the terror-stricken sky rolling like a waterfall over the horizon's fiery wall, a visage full of meaning. How the unhappy shall confess, as Roderick watches like a human eye, while the violets and lilies wave like banners in the sky, hovering over and above a grave, as dewdrops on the freshly planted eternal dew coming down in gems. There's no use to pretend, though gorgeous clouds fly, Roderick, like the human eye, has closed forever. Far away, far away. Roderick, whatever thy image may be, Roderick, no magic shall sever the music from thee. Thou hast bound many eyes in a dreamy sleep. Oh, tortured day, the strains still arrive. I hear the bells. I have kept my vigilance. Rain, dancing in the rhythm of a shower, over what guilty spirit to not hear the beating, to not hear the beating heart, but only tears of perfect moan, only tears of perfect moan. The City in the Sea. That's not the one that goes with City in the Sea, but it's awfully beautiful. Death has reared himself a throne in a strange city alone. Death has reared himself a throne in a strange city alone. Their shrines and palaces are not like ours. They do not tremble and rot. eaten with time. Death has reared himself a throne. You don't have, where is she, Jenny? You can't find the illustration of Death sitting on his throne? It's black and white. Oh well. Their shrines and palaces are not like ours. They do not tremble and rot, eaten with time. Death has reared himself a throne, lifted by forgotten winds, resignedly beneath the sky. The melancholy waters lie, a crown of stars, and a strange city alone. A heaven God does not condemn, but the everlasting shadow makes mockery of it all. No holy rays come down, lights from the lurid deep sea stream up the turrets silently, up thrones, up arbors of sculpted ivy and stone flowers, up domes, up spires, kingly halls, all are melancholy shrines. The columns, frieze, and entablature chokingly, shockingly intertwined, the mist, the vial, and the vine twisted. There, amid no earthly moans, hell rises from 1,000 thrones, does reverence to death, and death does give his undivided time. There are open temples and graves on a level with the waves. Death looms and looks huge, gigantic. There is a ripple, now a wave, towers thrown aside, sinking in the dull tide, the waves growing redder, the very hours losing their breath. All the cunning stars, watching fitfully over the night after night of matchless sleep, matched only with the whole of a dream, the telltale beating of the heart, the breath, the desire, the pose. One poses upon the precipice, to fall, to run, to dive, to tumble, to fall down, down into the spiral down, and then one sees one's own death. One sees one committing murders or atrocious, violent acts. And then, across the shadow, not of man or God, but the shadow resting upon the brazen doorway. There were 7 of us there who saw the shadow as it came out from among the draperies, but we did not dare behold it. We looked down into the depths of the mirror of ebony. The mirror of ebony. And the apparition spoke, "I am a shadow, and I dwell in the catacombs which border the country of illusion, hard by the dim plains of wishing." And then did we start shuddering, starting from our seats, trembling, for the tones in the voice of the shadow were not the tones of any one man, but of a multitude of beings, and varying in their cadence from syllable to syllable. Fell duskily upon our ears in the well, remembered and familiar accents of 1,000 departed friends. I know there's a way to do this. I think that's it. Aha, okay. Do you know what it's like to try to rewrite one of the most famous poems in the history of the world? The Raven. There's no way you can win. No one's going to say Lou Reed's Raven is better than Edgar Allan. That's not going to happen. The best that could happen is they say, well, he didn't ruin it. I just think this is one of the greatest things I ever did. You'll know the beginning, but then it changes, but you probably won't know that. But I'm telling you. Once upon a midnight dreary, as I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door, only this and nothing more. Muttering, I got up weakly. Always I've had trouble sleeping, stumbling upright, my mind racing. Furtive thoughts flowing once more. I there, hoping for some sunrise. Happiness would be a surprise. Loneliness no longer a prize. Rapping at my chamber door, seeking out the clever bore, lost in dreams forevermore. Only this and nothing more. Hovering, my pulse was racing, stale tobacco, my lips tasting, scotch sitting upon my basin, remnants of the night before. Came again, infernal tapping. On the door in my mind jabbing, is it in or outside rapping? Calling out to me once more the fit and fury of Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of the purple curtain filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, oh, wind, stood still breathing, hoping yet to calm my breathing, 'tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some lost visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming fantasies no mortal dared to dream before, but the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered name, Lenore. This I thought, and out loud whispered from my lips. The foul name festered, echoing itself. Merely this and nothing more. Back into my chamber turning, every nerve within me burning, when once again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that is something at my iron staircase. Open the door to see what threat is. I open the window, free the shutters. Let us this mystery explore. Oh, bursting heart, be still this once, and let this mystery explore. It is the wind and nothing more. Just one epithet I muttered, as inside I gagged and shuddered, when with a manly flirt and flutter, in there flew a stately raven, sleek and ravenous as any foe. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute's gesture towards me, of recognition or politeness, but perched above my chamber door, this foul and salivating visage insinuating with its knowledge, perched above my chamber door. Silent sat and staring, nothing more. Askance, askew, the self-sad fancy smiles at you. I swear at this savage, vicious countenance it wears. Though you show here, shorn and shaven, and I admit myself forlorn and craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the opiate shores. Tell me what thy lordly name is, that you are not nightmare sewage, some dire powder drink or inhalation framed from flames of downtown lore. Quote the raven, nevermore. And the raven, just hold on to that one, okay? Go back. And the raven sitting lonely, staring sickly at my male sex only. Then one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Pathetic. Nothing farther than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till finally was I that muttered as I stared dully at the floor. Other friends have flown and left me, flown as each and every hope has flown before, as you no doubt will for the morrow. But the bird said nevermore, the bird said nevermore. Then I felt the air grow denser, perfumed from some unseen incense, and as though accepting angelic intrusion, when in fact I felt collusion. Before the guise of false memories, respite, through the haze of cocaine's glory, I smoke and smoke the blue vial's glory, to forget at once the base Lenore, quote the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if a bird or devil by that heaven that bends above us, by the God we both ignore, tell this soul, with sorrow-laden, willful, and destructive intent, how it lapsed a pure heart lady to the greediest of needs. Sweaty, arrogant, dickless liar, who ascribed to nothing higher than a jab from a prick to a needle, straight to betrayal and disgrace, the conscience showing not a trace, quoth the raven nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I yelled upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the smoke-filled bottle's shore. Leave no black plume as a token of the slime thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit as those that quit before. Take the talon from my heart and see that I care no more. Whatever mattered came before. I vanished with the dead Lenore. Quote the raven nevermore. But the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, silent, sitting above a painting, silent painting of the forever silenced whore. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight over him streaming throws his shadow to the floor. I love she who hates me more. I love she who hates me more. And my soul shall not be lifted from that shadow, nevermore. The Telltale Heart, Part 2. Furious, it made me furious, a dull, quick sound pounding like a watch encased in cotton, tick-tock. I knew that sound well. It increased my fury, the beating of the old man's heart. I scarcely breathed and refrained, motionless, the tattoo of the heart, hellish, increased and was extreme. It grew louder, louder. I am nervous at this dead hour of the night amid the dreadful silence of this old house. This sound excites me to uncontrollable wrath. I thought someone would hear this sound. I thought his heart would burst. His hour had come. Please open the door. Open the door. The old man has gone to the country, gone to the country. But please search well, please search well. These are his treasures. treasures. Secure and undisturbed, the police have arrived. He's murdered the old man and buried him beneath the boards. And he has 2 cops there. Please sit. You must be fatigued. Wild audacity, perfect triumph. So they chat of familiar things. I hear ringing. Don't you hear it? No. It's louder, it's making my head ache. Don't you hear it? No. I have a headache, the day is long. Don't you hear it? No. Do you fucking mock me? Do you mock me? They know. Do you think me? They know. An imbecile? Do you think me a fool? Villains dissemble no more. I admit the deed. Admit. Here, admit. It is the beating of his most hideous heart. Imp of the perverse. Teacher. Death by a visitation from God. Death by a visitation from God. Boy, I am a shadow. Teacher. Things material and spiritual, maternal, can be heavy, suffocating. There are 7 iron lamps which illume our senses, 7 knives. 7 iron lamps to illume our senses, and 7 bells to celebrate the resurrection. 2 marble balls in a sack, 1 long and slender candle, 1 mouth, 2 reckonings, consternation and treachery. Are you listening? Are you listening to me? Are you paying attention to me? I am a shadow. 7 iron lamps, 7 oboes, 2 small balls and 1 tiny candle. Tiny candle. 1 pathetic flame, embers dying. 5 creatures from the monolith, 7 whispers from the catacombs, 5 and 7 mumbling speeches. Are you listening? I am drawn to do what I should not. Guilty. No, never, no. 7 mornings, 13 moons, 5 wolves, 1 silk spread morning, 7 bells for 7 senses, each one lusting, guiltily. 2 milk-fed glands, ripe and red-tipped. Are you listening to me, my little mouse? Each sense ripped from its bodice, each gland primed to its overflow. Do you hear me, my little mouse? Do you hear me, little cock? Semen. Brother, are you listening, my little tumescent smear? Ligeia. I stand on the edge and am drawn to it. Guilt. I am a shadow. Guilty. I'm paralyzed with guilt. It runs through me like rain through silk. My mind won't leave me alone. My teeth are rotten. My lips start to foam because I'm so guilty. Oh, guilty. What did I say? What did I do? Did I ever do it to you? Don't turn your back. I can't look you in the eye. I guess I'm guilty as charged. Guilty. Don't do that. Oh, you're such a willful child. Guilty. What can I do? I do it to you, but I do it to me too. Cut off my head. Hang me from the yardarm. Guilty. I'm paralyzed with guilt. I've got bad thoughts. I've got an evil clit. Guilty. My mind won't leave me alone. I've got a bad mind. I've got a bad bone. Guilty as charged. Don't do that. Don't do what? Don't do that. You're such a reckless child. Do you remember when you were a baby? Do you have a jury? Yeah. Do you have a verdict? Guilty as charged. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Do you have a verdict? I'm guilty. You're such a reckless child. I should beat you. I should hit you. I will put you in therapy. Guilty. Science of the mind. In the science of the mind, there is no forgiving. Paralyzed, I lay here sleeping, quiet as a little child. Heart starts beating, blood rushing, pounding, moving quiet as a little lamb. In the science of the mind, limbs are bound, devoid of movement. The injuries we do in kind are visited upon us often. In the science of the mind, trying hard to move a shadow. Don't bury me, I'm still alive. The science of the mind, unyielding. The science of the mind, unyielding. This is Annabel Lee, The Bells. Let the burial begin. The funeral song can be sung. An anthem for the queenliest dead that ever died so young. Sweet Lenore has gone before, taking hope that flew beside, leaving instead the wild, dead child that should have been your bride. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea. She was a child and you were a child in the kingdom of the sea. But the moon never beams, the stars never rise. No angels envy thee, for Ligeia rests dead with 3 winged seraphs in this kingdom by the sea. Wedded darkly, soul to soul, you shrink in size down to a mole and disappear into the hole of the dark mind's imaginings, shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. Tripitina's speech, my love, the king by any other name a pissoir, you, my love, tower over them all. They are all but vermin beneath your heels. They are monkeys. Suit them, frame them to your own vision, but do not let one false word of mockery seep through to your vast heart. I have seen you from close and afar, and your worth far exceeds your height, your width, the depth of your sorrow. Oh, love, willful outcast, does thou not see the light of our love, our linked fortunes, our hearts, melded together into one fine golden braided finery? They listen to the music of idiots and amuse themselves with the sordid miseries of their businesses. They are not the things of angels, nor of any higher outpost that humanity might aspire to. Your loathsome, vomitous businessman king is of the lowest order. His advisors, crumbling mockeries of education driven by avarice. My love, dress them in the suits of mockery, and in their advanced state of stupidity and senility, burn and destroy them, so their ashes might join the compost which they so much deserve. If justice on this earth be fleeting, let us for once hear the weeping and the braying of the businessman king. Let them be the orangutans they are, and set them blazing from the chandelier for all to see, hanging from the ceiling by their ridiculous chains and petticoats, which you will have them wear under the guise of costumic buffoonery. He who underestimates in time is bound to find the truth sublime and hollow, lie upon the grates of systemic disorder. Businessmen, you're not worth shitting on. This is the last one. It's called Guardian Angel. I have a guardian angel. I keep him in my head, and when I'm afraid and alone, I call him to my bed. I have a guardian angel who keeps bad things from me. The only way to ruin it would be for me not to trust me. I have a guardian angel who's often saved my life. Through Malavin storms and crystal drums, the angel on my right has lifted me up and set me down, always showing me what's right. And if my instinct proved me wrong, the angel set it right. I have a guardian angel, I keep him in my head, and when I'm having nightmares, he shows me dreams instead. I have a ring, I have a dress, I have an empty shell. By the books below teacups, I've kept a kind of hell. Panic and anxiety so often in my head, but I had a guardian angel who took care of me instead. The champagne cork, the nightlight owl, a raven and a duck, the seed of pining parents and your despairing love. Love and luck both have charmed lives, can change all things about, and I had a guardian angel. That's what this is all about. I have a guardian angel. I keep him in my head. And when I'm alone and become afraid, he perches on my bed. I have a guardian angel. I keep him in my head. And when I thought I was alone, he saved my life instead. And when I thought I was alone, he saved my life instead.
So Lou, we have a few questions from the audience. What Edgar Allan Poe character would you most wish to be?
I love the guy in the Raven. Here.
Any particular reason?
Well, I understand him. I identify with him. I know that feeling. Poe does too. That's why it's one of the greatest poems ever written. There's a universality to it, but Poe wrote about a part of the psyche a lot of people never approached, although you might make a case for Oedipus. That's a joke. No? Oh well. I love him. I love what he's talking about. Panic, anxiety. He calls the Raven, dickless liar. Well, not the Raven, Lenore, who ascribes to nothing higher than a jab from a needle. I think that captures a certain segment of people, unless you're a Mooney.
The Raven seems to be kind of a long-term project for you. Do you have any plans to adapt another work or concentrate on one long-term project again, like Berlin?
I'm working on something that I did with Bob Wilson called Lulu. Berg's Lulu, but it was written, that's the opera. But there are two stories it's based on, and then a movie called Pandora's Box. And I worked really hard on putting that together with the Berlin Ensemble Theater and Bob Wilson again. Probably won't get seen in this country. Shame.
When and how did you read The Raven for the first time? Was it at school, at home?
I've read a lot of things at school and at home, but the first time I read it where I understood it was a Halloween Poe celebration at St. Anne's Church then. It was put together by Hal Wilner. He got a bunch of people to read Poe out loud. And it's when I read the Telltale Heart out loud that was an amazing experience, because then I understood it.
Other than Poe, who are your favorite writers?
There's a guy I like called James Lee Burke. I like mystery writers. There's a TV show that I like called Justified that I really, that's based on Elmore Leonard.
So I think we'll entertain some questions from the audience. We're going to stick to questions about The Raven or Edgar Allan Poe. Does anyone have any questions? Are people shy? Oh, yay. Can you stand up so he can see you?
There are a lot of theories about how Poe died, and it's a mystery as to how he really did.
To me, too.
Right. I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on it. Like, do you believe any one theory over any other, or is it just totally a mystery to you as well?
It's along with the death of John Kennedy. We'll never know. It doesn't sound very pleasant the way he went. Not that we know. You know, alcohol poisoning, what could it be? We'll never know. But if you read his stuff, it's like going to see the Alexander McQueen show. You could see this coming. I've seen that show 3 times. It's so astonishingly thrilling. And then there's quotes from him as to where these images come from, these ideas. It's hard for some people.
Any other questions?
Hi, Lou. You know what, when you read the material, I heard the cant of your songwriting in Poe. Do you think that it's just because of the way you deliver it, or you think that you were influenced by the meter of his poetry and your songwriting at all?
His writing to me is very musical, and I tried to tune into that meter, every single one of them. There are things in there that I wrote that's not a rewrite of him, but it's in that same kind of meter. It's really a songwriter's meter, oddly enough. And if you read it out loud, you'll really hear that. It's so clear that it made life pretty easy, how to go from A to B.
Any other questions?
I mean, easy in the sense of form and rhythm, not in the sense of actual writing. With him, I didn't understand him till 20 years ago. A lot of people are in my ears.
Would you say then that The Raven is your favorite, or do you have a favorite, would you say, of his?
My new favorite is Lulu, because my favorite's always the last one. But I'm mad about The Raven. But it was very hard to get in this country, and they didn't want to do a double CD in Europe. They wanted to reduce it to 1 CD and not have the great talking. I mean, even in the little playlists, it's that rhythm, always. And actors like Elizabeth Ashley or Fisher Stevens or Willem Dafoe nail that rhythm, especially Elizabeth Ashley on The City and the Sea. And Willem on Death has reared himself a throne. I mean, it's just amazing. And I got very excited by it, so I would write more of it in the studio, because I had these great actors.
Any more questions? Oh.
Hi. Did you have any
Hi.
creative input or contribution to the artwork in the book, or did you delivered the words and he just delivered the artwork?
Oh no, we were very close. We would be going over things microscope looking, like maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. But he got it in the first place. I just love Lorenzo's stuff, love it. I was so lucky to work with someone like that. He tuned in, it was amazing. So everything went by me, and the editor, Bernard, come in. We would, sit for hours with different images of Lorenzo's, shifting them around, this and that, and saying, can you adjust that or change that? Or, for instance, he hadn't done an illustration for the Raven, the long poem. And I said, how is that possible? Get out of here, go back. So then he did one that's absolutely incredible.
We have a question back here, Lou.
Oh, hello. My question is, you stated that you got it 20 years ago. That's correct? If you had got it, how may that have affected your artistic outputs?
Well, I think I got it. I certainly understood him better than before. That particular territory he was occupying was one that I was hoping to occupy with lyrics for rock songs. For a start, following Poe, Burroughs, Selby, Ginsberg, people like that.
One more question, anyone?
Psychological songs about psychology that are like film noir, but something that really affects the listener. It's not la-la music.
Hi, Lou. As I listened to your reading today, I thought of the song that you composed in the early 80s, Waves of Fear. And I'm wondering,
Waves of Fear.
Waves of Fear, from the Blue Mask.
One of my favorites. We're doing it on our little tour.
And I'm wondering if you have any inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe when you composed that song.
Not knowledgeably, but the link is so obvious. But I'm my own guy. He's not the only one who thought of that.
So I think we're going to let
It's
Lou...
not Bridesmaid or whatever it is. You have so many people who do that for you. Although I've been told it's very funny. Is it? No, yes. Yeah, it's all right. Okay. What's your favorite movie right now? What? Bridesmaid. Very good. Okay. Thanks for coming.